Hey, boys and girls, time for another History of Art, this time in 1940. So, today we have Death in Fire, known in German as Tod und Feuer, is an expressionist painting by Paul Klee from 1940. It is on display at the Zentrum Paul Klee in Bern, which is also in, by the way, Switzerland. Meaning in history. Death in Fire was one of Klee's last paintings, shortly before his death on June 29th, 1940. In, in 1935, Klee started to suffer from scleroderma, or rodema. I'm sorry, one I'm not going to pronounce well, which manifested itself with fatigue, skin rashes, difficulty in swallowing, and shortness of breath. Oh, and pain in the joints of his hands. His painting during this period tended to be simpler and representative of the suffering he was going through. Told, the German word for death, is a common motif throughout this painting. It can be it can be seen most distinctly in the features of the face. Though the D and T are rotated, the word can be also seen in the figure's raised arm as the T. The yellow orb can be the O, and the figure's head or torso as the D. Hieroglyphics. That's a word I used to struggle with like a bunch. The paintings also represent hieroglyphics, an interest of Cleese during this time, which can also be seen in many of the other of his other late 1930s paintings, such as Inscula della Karma or della Karma, whatever, 1938, and Heroic Roses, 1938. Slow down, me. We're not in a race. So let's zoom out a little bit here, buddy. Ooh, boy. Okay. I mean, I dig it. I can see the hook in the face, or one because I don't see how it's gonna be a torso. I don't see a torso. I see a face. You guys know the damn meme faces, right? Like the damn dirt face, the sad dude, and that one girl with the brown hair that's either smiling or crying, like that. But older. Um, I like I do see how they're spelling out, the words, Tuld or Todd, or however you want to try and pronounce it if you're an English speaker. Um, I mean, I dig it. This feels. I mean, obviously, it has like a bunch of like meaning going on, and it does. In my eyes, it feels like a good art piece, especially a lot of art can be expressed through any sort of damn thing, like pain, sadness, happiness. We have seen plenty of art pieces that do all that and then some. So this is pretty good. Let us go to the next one. This one I had to do. This is such a big one. Where I grew up, there was tons of like copies of this already in place, and it made me laugh. There was like memes on Facebook back in the damn day where they had different versions of this. They had the black Jesus, Asian Jesus. They had they had Russian Jesus. There was all sorts of memes. One I will never forget is Chuck E. Cheese Jesus. Like people were memeing this one, but it is the Head of Christ, also called the Solomon Head. It's a 1940 a portrait painting of Jesus by Warner Solomon, 1892 to 1968. And as an extraordinary, successful work of Christian popular devotional art, it had been reproduced over half a billion times worldwide by the end of the 20th century. And large copies of the work have been made for churches in small pocket of wallet-sized prayer cards bearing the image have been mass-produced for private devotional use. The painting is said to have become the basis for the visualization of Jesus for hundreds of millions of people, which I mean is fair. That is, I mean, whenever I think of Jesus, I do immediately like draw to this picture. Like this picture, or rather this art piece has inspired so many different iterations of this same exact thing, but different poses, different angles. But let us get into this. Origins. The Head of Christ originated as a charcoal sketch entitled The Son of Man, done in 1924, and sold to be the cover of the Covenant Companion, the denominational magazine for the Evangelical Covenant Church. Solomon completed several variations of the painting over the years. In the first oil versions date from 1935 for the 50th anniversary celebration of the Evangelical Covenant Church. In 1940, he was asked to reproduce that painting by the students of the North Park Theological Seminar. This reproduction was seen by representatives of the Gospel Trumpet Company, the publishing arm of the Church of God, Anderson, who created a new company called Kreibel and Bates to market Salmon's work. For the next 30 years, Kreibel and Bates marketed over 100 Warner Salmon works. When Kreibel and Bates dissolved, the copyrights to these works were acquired by Warner Press. Wait, that Warner? I hope it's not the Warner I'm thinking of. Hold on. Okay, no, it's a totally different Warner. The Baptist bookstore initially popularized the painting, distributing various size lithographic images for sale throughout the southern United States. The Salvation Army and the YMCA, as members of the USO, handed out pocket-sized versions of a painting to American servicemen, heading overseas during World War II. After the war, groups in Oklahoma and Indiana conducted campaigns to distribute the image into private and public spaces. One Lutheran organizer in Illinois said that there ought to be card-carrying Christians to counter the effects of card-carrying communists. Oh yeah, baby, that's America. That's America right there. Oh boy, features. Many Lutheran and Roman Catholic Christians have praised the painting for the hidden host on the forehead of the head of Christ and the chalice on his temple, both pointing to the Holy Eucharist. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't mean to mispronounce some words. The head of Christ became popular among evangelical Christians, as well as they believe the portrait to emphasize the salvific power of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. David Morgan, a professor of religion at Duke University, states for the many Christians during the Cold War, Salmon's portrait did symbolize a viral, manly Christ, while for the others it embodied a more intimate and nurturing Jesus, a personal savior for modern times. In my opinion, I agree. We have seen tons of paintings that have depicted Christ, but in many of them, which I recall was seeing at least like four, maybe less than that, like on our journey with this, is that we see him, nailed up there. He looks rather weak and famished, or it's very interpretive on how you could view it, but it's never really in a manly view. Like you see this guy here, you're like, wow, this man knows what it's all about. He's a fatherly figure. He's very manly. He doesn't look weak, which is if you're trying to make your religion look strong, you want to have a strong looking figure. This goes for anything really. Alleged miracles. Warner Salmon believed that his initial sketch of the head of Christ was a result of a miraculous vision that he received late one night, saying that the answer came at 2 a.m., January 1924, as a vision in response to my prayer to God in a despairing situation. Okay, it's one of those situations. The head of Christ is also venerated in the Coptic Orthodox Church, following a 1991 report in which 12-year-old Isaac Oyabub of Houston, Texas, who was diagnosed with leukemia, saw the eyes of Jesus in a painting. Shedding tears, Fr. Ishak Solomon of St. Mark's Coptic Church in Houston on the same day testified to the miracles, and on the next day, Dr. Etef Rizkala, the family physician, examined the youth and certified that there were no traces of leukemia. With hospital approval from Bishop Tadros of Port Said and Bishop Yohanna of Cairo, Solomon's head of Christ was exhibited in the Coptic Church, with more than 50,000 people visiting the church to see it. Oh, that's pretty cool! In addition, several religious magazines have explained the power of Solomon's picture by documenting occurrences such as headhunters letting go of a businessman and fleeing after. I'm just reacting to that one. After seeing a copy of image on his person, a thief who aborted his misdeed when he saw the head of Christ on a living room wall, and a deathbed conversions of non-believers to Christianity. I'm just imagining some people, with guns, they're all blazing to go. They see the crisis start sprinting away. It's like the vampire thing. You put out some garlic or like a cross or something, like it just runs away. It's like their kryptonite. It's Jesus, run! Oh man. Appearances. The chancel of Elbune, Samartil, United Methodist Church features a large copy of Solomon's head of Christ, rather than a traditional altar cross. St. Francis de Sales Seminary, a Roman Catholic institution in Oklahoma, requested and received a gigantic head of Christ to display on campus. According to David Morgan, the head of Christ is still found in both Protestant and Catholic churches, and enjoys fond use among Mormons, Latinos, Native Americans, and African Americans, and hangs in Christian homes in Africa, Latin America, Asia, and Eastern Europe. The head of Christ has appeared in scenes of several films, such as The Children of the Corn, 1984, good movie, Jungle Fever, 1991, and Silver Linings Playbook in 2012. I've not seen that last one now. Um, as a Protestant, I can attest to this. I've seen the head of Christ in plenty of churches, so I'm not a practicing Protestant, by the way. It's that when I was younger, as a child, I went to church a number of times. Oh boy. So, let us view this lovely image. I mean, what else to really say? It's Jesus. Mmm. Gotta love him, man. It's pretty great. Um, you know, does not mention like what I love the most about this is the lighting. I think the emphasis on, beside his face, the brow here, I think that's what really sells it, especially when you know what the light is like hitting his hair. It really like emphasizes how spiritually important this father figure is to, the viewer. And I think that is why it was so successful. Outside of, the obvious, religious, implications. If it's like a standard image of like some random dude, I feel like obviously it would have like a less of a like like a knowing, because who cares about some random guy? But if that is a Jesus, it's even more of a selling point. You know what I mean? But either way, still an amazing painting. Let's go to the next one. But first, a sip of water. Gas Hopper. Gas is an oil painting executed in 1940 by the American painter Edward Hopper. It depicts an American gas station at the end of a highway. The painting belongs to the Museum of Modern Art in New York. So this is actually a painting I recall seeing during a school thing. It was a long while ago. I'm saying like I'm super old. I was like 8 years ago. History and description. The subject was a composite of several gas stations Hopper had visited. According to Hopper's wife Josephine, the gas station motif was something he had wanted to paint for a long time. Hopper struggled with the painting. He had begun to produce new paintings at a slower rate than before, and had trouble finding suitable gas stations to paint. Hopper wanted to paint a station with lights lit above the pumps, but the stations in his area only turned lights on when it was pitch dark outside to save energy. Oh, that sucks. And yeah, this is like the real old ones. You don't see the pumps like this anymore. The painting depicts a mobile gas station alongside a road and a man alone working at a pump as evening falls. The lighting of the gas station contrasts with the arrival of night. The attendant outfit, vest, white shirt, tie, and clothes, as well as the lighting, brings a kind of priestly aspect to the picture. Mm. The painting also depicts tales of a fuel pump, sign, electric lighting, in the dark gray asphalt road in perspective, opposing the nature present in the edge of a green pine forest on the left, with tall yellow grass in front of it, the acacia visible beyond the station office, and the straw turning reddish on the edge of the of the road. Sorry. This painting deviates from the painter's preliminary studies in many details. Since 1927, the year when he acquired a Dodge and then traveled throughout the United States, the painter had made several paintings with the road as a recurring subject. The ambivalence, I'm sorry, that's a word I rarely ever see these days, between civilization and nature remains frequent in other similar Hopper paintings, which ultimately represent neither the city nor the countryside. Province. The painting is in the Museum of Modern Art in New York, due to the legacy of Mrs. Simon Guggenheim in 1943. Okay, let's see this bad boy. Yep, mobile gas. Oh yeah, this is some real ancient shit right here, boys and girls. I believe the name of mobile now is Exxon. If I'm right, they merged with Exxon at one point or another. It has been a long time. Yeah, I'm almost certain that they merged. But okay, the detail on the attendant is like really good, like super good. it always makes me wonder if like he had the guy like this like standing there, or like he like this like got like a quick sketch of him as he was working, and like that's like the first thing he did before the guy just walked off. That's what I'm wondering. I think what I love the most about this is not the station itself, although it is good. I love the detail on the forestry going on here with all the trees and the nice side over here. I think it's really atmospheric. It really feels like it's about to turn to dark very soon as we're just seeing this. It's a very unique way of handling things. I will say that, and I feel like if I was playing like a D&D or like some sort of like tabletop, this is like how I imagine some like dark roads, or is it about to turn dark roads. But overall, I really enjoyed this one. This is a very unique one in my eyes because it captures a point in history that it's still, it's reminiscent of the modern day. Obviously, we still have gas stations. Obviously, we still have attendants. Well, not really. Well, like they don't really go out anymore. They are mostly inside the station. They turn on the pump for you to use. When you pay. I'm aware in New Jersey it's different. They actually will like fill it, like it's like by law. They have to like fill it up for you, which I think is kind of silly, but whatever. This is how it is. Overall, that's it for paintings for today. We're next one up to sculptures, as been doing for a while now. I think it's a much better way of handling it, honestly. Something I might do is make a whole like ranking system for the paintings and statues, or rather sculptures that we see on this journey. But no guarantee, honestly. It might change any of mine. It's a whole thing. Equestrian statue of Paul Revere. Paul Revere, we know him, we love him. The equestrian statue of Paul Revere by Cyrus Edwin Dolan is installed at Paul Revere Mall near the Old North Church in Boston, Massachusetts. Description and history. The sculpture was modeled in 1885, cast in bronze in 1940, and dedicated on September 22nd of that year. The statue rests on Milford pink granite, base designed by Y. Lavelle Little and Raymond A. Porter. 23-year-old Cyrus Dolan won a competition for the sculpture in 1885, beating out two other finalists, Daniel Chester French and James E. Kelly of New York. Other famous sculptors competed, including Thomas Ball. The day following the award, French visited Dolan and congratulated him. Why am I stuttering today? Why am I stumbling on words? Boston Mayor Hugh O'Brien signed a contract confirmed the award. Due to a variety of circumstances, the project was delayed for over 50 years. Jesus! At the age of 79, Dolan finally saw his project move forward. The George Robert White Fund trustees accepted Dolan's model for casting and improves $27,500 for its execution. What the fuck was I doing? It was cast at the T.F. McGowan Foundry in Somerville. At the 1940 dedication event, James F. O'Connell, the manager of the White Fund, presented the statue to the mayor of Boston, Maurice J. Taubman. The mayor then introduced Henry L. Shattuck, that's a damn name, of the Boston City Council to give the dedication address. That was heard by thousands. Also in attendance was Raymond J. Kelly, who was national commander of the American Legion. In decades that the statue was installed, Dolan executed several versions of the sculpture. Version number 6 is displayed in the Cyrus Dolan Art Museum. In 2024, the museum installed a version of number 5 on a pedestal on the grounds. The artwork was surveyed by the Smithsonian Institution's SABE Outdoor Sculpture Program in 1993. Very intriguing. Let's see this one. Paul Revere. I'm sure we all know the story of Paul Revere. If not, I mean, I guess I can give like a very brief run through. He is the fellow who basically warned the colonists of the approaching British. The British are coming. The British are coming. Or rather, the redcoats are coming. That is one of his damn things. He's pretty important, or perhaps like one of the most important men in the country, at least in the initial days, I suppose. First and foremost, I love the details on the horse. The horse has aura. complete aura. The whole thing is this aura. Paul Revere, and I do love the base. This is a really good base. Overall, great statue, great sculpture. Let me just check the time on this bad boy. Yep, about 20 minutes, give or take. Next up is Fishwife. Fishwife, or in Danish, Fiskerkolden. I mispronounced that probably, but I don't care. Is a 1940 granite statue of a fishwife situated at Gamle Strand in Copenhagen, Denmark, commemorating the fact that the city's principal fish market was then located at the site. It represents one of the so-called Skosavar women, who, wearing their traditional garments, used to dominate the market trade. The fish market closed in 1958. Oh, that sucks. Description: the granite statue measures at 187 centimeters by 80 centimeters by 80 centimeters, or rather 6.14 feet by 2.62 feet by 2.62 feet. The fishwife is depicted wearing an apron, shawl, and scarf. She holds a palisse in her right hand. I don't know what a palisse is. Oh, is this gonna? Oh, it's a fucking fish. First, get some history. Copenhagen's principal fish market was 4 centuries situated at Gamle Strand. The statue was donated to the city by the Foundation for Promotion of Art in the city, or rather, Fonden for the Kunstnerkrig Falmer for me. I said that also wrong. I pissed off the entire country of Denmark. It's over. It's so over, bros. Oh boy. It was created by Charles Sevenstrup Madsen, 1883 to 1946. Oh, he was there for the war. He saw the end of it. The statue was unveiled on the 12th of November 1940. The newspaper Boschenscheik Toinedid, or Toinedti, whatever, brought an incidental poem by Viog Borfud, published under his pseudonym, I'm not pronouncing that, yours sincerely, entitled There's Nothing Like Change. Art must be brought to the people. This is a program that is interpreted so that lots of statues are raised on all greenswards and open spaces. A fishwife of 6,000 kilos, that's to say no real Venus de Milo, can be admired by later generations on the fish market at Gamle Strand. She has cost a great deal in purely monetary terms. But on the other hand, women are immortal. People die, fish die, but the fishwife lives. She does live. She can easily last 100 years. And although she's really not bad, the sight of her makes one think. One could avoid paying for a very costly material, and it would perhaps please many. If statues were made of snow, the city would lose nothing. A little variety would be created, and the artist would have more to do, which of course can be also important. In winter, when all nature sleeps, we would have art to delight in. In summer, oh man, we have the green trees, and then we have no need of works of art here. The statue was removed in 2011 in conjunction with the construction of the Gamle Strand metro station. It was later temporarily installed at Suddenhaven station. In September 2018, it was returned to Gamle Strand. Well, that's good it returned. It should remain there until it fucking falls apart, I suppose. You can already see, there's some, what is this, algae forming already? I might have said that wrong. I'm not really sure what it is like. It's like lichen. It's whatever. But that's that. This is a really good looking statue. There you have this lady here just chilling. Ah, good history. Good history. This next one is a big one. This is Opitz 40. Opitz 40 is a large environmental sculpture in Saugerties, New York, created by sculptor Harvey Feit, 1903 to 1976. It comprises a sprawling series of dry stone ramps, pedestals, and platforms covering 6.5 acres of a blue stone quarry. Okay. Feit, then professor of sculpture and theater at Bard College, Annandale-on-Hudson, New York, purchased the disused quarry site in 1938, expecting to use it as a source of raw stone for his reputational sculpture. Instead, inspired by a season of work restoring Mayan ruins in Honduras, he began creating a space to display the large carved statues he was beginning to create out of native blue stone. Using the rubble that had been left behind but as the area was quarried, he built terraces, ramps, and walkways to lead to the individual works, doing all the work by hand, and using the traditional hand tools that had been used by the local quarrymen before him. As the ramp work of his open air gallery expanded, Veidt realized that the 1.5 ton, or rather 1.36 metric ton, statue flame, which had been occupied the central pedestal, had become too small for the scale to which his work had grown, and he replaced it with a 9.5 ton bluestone pillar he had found in a nearby stream bed, intent on carving it in place as his tallest bluestone sculpture to date. Veidt erected the local monolith in 1964, 25 years after he'd begun work on his quarry gallery. That is some dedication right there. Ooh boy. Though Veidt's original plan was to carve the monumental riverstone in place as his tallest bluestone sculpture to date, he had sculpted the flame in his indoor studio. Once the stone was up, he realized that he had originally conceived as a setting for the sculpture had become a coherent sculpture in its own right. A new kind of sculpture, in which carved relational work was out of place. Veidt removed his other sculptures and relocated them on the surrounding grounds. He continued to work on this new sculptural concept for the remainder of his life. Mm. In the early 1970s, after he retired in 1969 after 35 years as a professor at Edinburgh College, Veidt built the Quarryman's Museum on the grounds, a collection of folk tools and artifacts of a quarrying era. It was around the same time that he had finally succumbed to the pressures to give his masterworks a name, stating tongue in cheek that the classical composers don't have to name things, they can just number them, Opus 1, Opus 2, and so on. But eventually arrived at what he felt was an appropriate name, Opus, in the Latin word for work, and 40 refers to the number of years he expected he would need to complete the work. Hey, he's right though. You don't need to give an actual name to your stuff, I suppose. Veidt died on May 9th, 1976, in the 38th year of his creation, an accidental fall while working on the ongoing project, work stopped that day, leaving some areas unfinished. But as the stepson of the writer Jonathan Richards has observed, Opus 40 is as complete as it ever would have been. It was the product of Veidt's ceaseless vision, and could have only been stopped by his death. The following year, his widow, Barbara Veidt, as a close aesthetic collaborator with Veidt throughout his labors, created a non-profit group to administer Opus 40 and opened the grounds to public access to help support its preservation, including maintenance of the framing grounds that her husband had also landscaped. Barbara Veidt died on October 22nd, 1987, and care of the Opus 40 was taken over by her son, Tad Richards, and his wife, Pat, over the next several decades. Since their retirement, members of the family continued to advise the board of directors of the organization. Opus 40 remains a popular tourist attraction as well as a wedding and concert venue. 2001, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Wow. It's kind of intriguing to see a whole family dedicated to preserving a landmark. Impact. Brandon Gill, in the March of 1989 edition of Architectural Digest, called Opus 40 one of the largest and most beguiling works of art on the entire continent, and he also called it the greatest earthwork sculpture I've ever seen. Though Harvey Veidt was not associated with the land art or earthwork sculpture movement of the 1970s, he came to be known as a pioneer of that movement, and was recognized in 1977. The Hirshhorn Museum of the Smithsonian Museum of the Smithsonian Institution in a show entitled Proving the Earth. Contemporary land projects as a forefather of the earthworks movement. Okay. So there's some tributes here. A Sonny Rollins concert at the Opus 40 on August 16th, 1986 was filmed for the Robert Muggs documentary Saxophone Cloxus. The band Mercury Rev recorded Opus 40, a song about the site, on their 1998 album Deserter's Song. The music video for Amanda Palmer's interpretation of Pink Floyd's Mother was filmed at Opus 40 in 2017. It's kind of cool. This place is kind of the backdrop of some damn things. But let's take a gander. Oh, this is beautiful. Ooh wee. All right. This has been a very enjoyable time. We are running into this pretty heavily. I want to end here. Who you guys enjoyed? Please like us, please like and subscribe more in peace.